27, and today, our theme of exploration: the higher self. When a soul decides to incarnate on any timeline in any dimension, it creates a version of itself that would guide the incarnated self as and when necessary, with surveillance of the path ahead of the incarnated self, so that it can manifest the reality it wishes to manifest as per the subscribed events of the soul for that lifetime. Once the soul decides upon the major challenges and events that its incarnated self shall experience in that lifetime, it requires to create a guide that would be the connection between the all-knowing soul self and the physical mind of the incarnated self, which has no idea about how to navigate the reality of what's coming next in the future. You and your higher self are very much like you as a player of a video game and the character you are playing the game as. Your game character is like your physical mind. You're in the third dimension. It cannot see past the barrier in front of it. You as the actual player of the game are like your soul or higher self or higher mind. You can see past the barrier in front of it and send action commands to your character as you see fit in order to play the game. The higher self, having an oversight of the future or what's ahead, will channel messages and instructions to various high-frequency energies such as excitement, joy, love, passion, etc. Anytime you feel these emotions or feelings or frequencies, mostly it's your higher self talking or sending new instructions to act and manifest the reality you or your soul needs. Most often than not, it's not what you seemingly want, which is mostly guided by the beliefs you bought yourself into as part of the matrix integration. Matrix being the overall consciousness of the timeline you are incarnated in. If the excitement, however, comes due to an ego-based belief, the excitement may seem to be short-lasting and draining in the long run. Your physical mind can only tell you how things has happened and predict things as per its knowledge of the past, but cannot ever predict how things will happen, which is the job of the higher mind, connected to your soul. The higher self always has the upper hand when it comes to the actions of the incarnated self here in the third or fourth dimension. In other words, without the participation of the higher self, no other being can access the physical mind of your incarnated self. The higher self is the doorkeeper to your higher consciousness, through which you can channel any other being or higher dimensional energies. Even any entity will need to have agreement with your higher self in order to access your incarnated self. If you wish to channel the energy of any light being, e.g., galactic council members, spirit, angels, etc., they have to make an agreement with your higher self first. Anyone you meet here in the third dimension has to make an agreement with your higher self through their higher self for that meet to happen, no matter what sort of meeting it may be or what it might lead to. One of the keys to navigate life is to always be in tune with your higher self, constantly checking what it's trying to tell you through your highest excitement. It can be washing dishes, doing the laundry, going to the market, going to the community gathering, subscribing to something, eating something, or just about any so-called normal life errands. You may not know what any of them might lead to, but your higher self does. Sometimes it will make you feel excited to get some food from a restaurant you would never visit in a normal day. And when you get there, you will meet someone or have an experience will lead your life to a journey your soul signed up for before you were born. You may not know this whole future set of journeys, checkpoints, events that are all connected and lead you to your highest soul path. Hence, you have to review why you feel excited to do something and take actions accordingly, following your guts or intuition. It's important to constantly review why you wish to do something, if you're actually excited from the soul perspective or the ego perspective, since the ego gets excited mostly if it wants something as per the matrix manipulation rather than the soul's needs. The ego always wants. It cannot access what the needs are unless it is connected to the soul on a higher level. And oftentimes, what you feel like you need is what the matrix taught your ego to tell you as what you want, but they are often not the same thing. Always check and review if what you want is what your soul actually needs. For example, everybody wants to be a millionaire, not realizing so many people who become a millionaire overnight also lose everything within a few months, going bankrupt, or so the statistics shows. And oftentimes your higher self will not lead you down that path. What you set your frequency as will also help the higher self decide upon what next event or thing you are ready for in your future timelines, and it will start pushing you towards new events, themes, people, etc. to guide you to it. Just cause you wish to manifest something doesn't mean your higher self is going to aid you in that journey. If it sees a future event down that timeline that is going to take you off the path your soul set for you in this lifetime, your actions are energetic movements that feeds back to the higher self to give you more and more direction to move forward towards a certain outcome. The trick is to stay positive no matter what, since sometimes your higher self can manifest negative things or events to redirect you towards better or more desirable outcomes that you cannot yet see in your so-called future, but only your higher self can. For example, sometimes you get kicked out of a job so that you can follow your passion or move into a new better job, more fulfilling, where you are going to meet someone that changes your life, etc., etc. Sometimes you go through a breakup in order to meet your life partner with much better outcome. Sometimes you lose a fight to discover a better way to navigate life, or become a bodybuilder with your own brand or business. Sometimes you break a glass to find the missing ring that you lost a few months ago while picking the broken pieces up. Sometimes you break a leg to overcome impossible challenges afterwards and become famous for writing a book or guiding others going through the same challenge. Sometimes you lose a friend because a few years down the line he would have gotten you arrested for a crime you would have committed, etc. If you look around you or in your own life, the amount of such events leading from one to the other are countless, but you won't realize unless you are looking for it. It's also noteworthy to mention the higher self works with spirit guides, ancestors within the soul group in spirit form, angels and other beings to help manifest the reality through signs, symbols, messages, synchronistic events and other energetic connections to aid or guide the incarnated self within the timeline. As per our read, a 3D being miss out on 40 to 80% of the signs and symbols being provided to them by their guides from the higher dimensions. How much of these aid you receive can depend on the frequency you are vibrating in. Very much like the fact, if you are tuned in to the frequency of 99.1 on radio FM, you won't receive what's being transmitted on 101.1 FM. Higher the frequency, higher the chances of receiving this help. Same reason, symbolically, all communication towers are built high where reception is higher and energy exchange happens much seamlessly without much obstruction. Your higher self can send you messages through lucid dreams, and in fact, dreams are one of the most common ways it communicates. Your higher mind may use lucid dreams to deliver symbols presenting guidance or probabilities in your waking life, allow you to practice or rehearse situations before you encounter them physically, help you process beliefs or fears in a safe, symbolic environment, provide downloads, which are packets of energetic information that may integrate over time after waking. How to recognize higher self messages in lucid dreams. You can pick up on messages from higher self by paying attention to strong emotional resonance. When you have dreams that feel more vivid, powerful, or real than usual, recurring symbols or people that seem significant in physical life, direct conversations with guides, light beings, or other versions of yourself in different parallel lives or incarnations, waking up from the dream with a clear insight or certainty you didn't have before. The soul versus the higher mind. Your soul is eternal and one. However, it can create several higher minds or higher selves, each catered to the incarnated selves in the lower dimensions. Simply put, as many incarnations, so many higher minds. As many life journeys, so many guides. The soul vibrates at a much higher frequency than the physical mind, but is rather very close in frequency to the higher self or higher mind. The higher you raise the vibration of your beingness, the easier it gets to receive the messages from your higher self or higher mind. That concludes our today's exploration. Our gratitude for your participation in the ascension journey of humanity. All our social media links are in the description. Comment here if you need clarity on anything. Search for any specific topic that might interest or concern you. And remember to keep exploring. Until next time.